I freeze. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Alright, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on the third episode of Batman Retrospective. My name is Travis Snell from GeekVerse, and I'm also joined by GeekVerse cohort
Taylor Field.
And today we're going to be talking about Batman Returns and our build-up, as we've been talking about, to Batman vs. Superman. It's work, or v Superman, whatever. It's the same thing. They're going to fight. And then, yeah, it's a couple weeks away, and we've just been breaking down every film. And now I was talking to you about certain films and whatnot, and we were talking about, like, because you're going to do Batman and Robin as well, and I asked, is there any other one you want to do? And you jumped out this one. Explain why you jumped out at this one so quickly, because you're like, oh yeah, Batman Returns, I want that one. Because, like, I really like this movie, but I don't think it's a lot of people's favorites, where you're like, oh yeah, this is the one I want to do.
I don't... It's a good question, but out of all the four, I find it to be...
Of the Burton ones?
Well, Burton didn't do, like, Batman and Robin, did he? He just did
I guess I mean, like, the original ones, yeah, he did the first two, and then, like, you're with the four, you're talking about, like, those two, and then Forever and Batman and Robin, right?
Yeah, out of all those four.
Yeah.
I don't know, I like it. I like its setting. It's very dark.
Yeah.
And I love Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's very dark. Like, that's why I have it in my notes later, too, but, like, you can see why the reason Forever is so much, like, kind of more, like, I don't know, it's more, I guess, comedic or lighter, is because after this movie, like, parents everywhere complained that it was too violent, too dark, too sexual, everything like that. You know, and, like, that's why, like, it's in my notes, but I'll jump ahead a bit. Like, you look at the end of the movie, like, Penguin's plan is pretty much just to kill a bunch of babies. And it is, like, I guess, because I was actually watching the documentary about today, and they were talking, like, a retrospective they were talking about was Burton and the writers. They said, like, they never went out there to make it, like, for kids, or they just made, like, a good Batman movie, but then they didn't really take into account of, like, it following, like, the comic book, or it following, or, like, parents being okay with this and whatnot. So, and you can tell, like, it's pretty dark movies. Like, I think Nolan's movies are dark, but they're darker in a different sense. They're more, like, I think, gritty, where this is just really dark, like, in gothic. So, yeah, I guess we can start. Do you have, like, good stuff or bad stuff, or do you just have a bunch of thoughts?
It's just mixed in stuff, like, questions, like, why did they have that? And
okay.
That sort of thing.
Well, then I'll go down, we can go point for point then, and I'll say
Okay.
something, you can say something. Every retrospective has literally been different, because everybody writes it down in different ways. Someone has a good or bad, or someone has this, so, yeah, I was going to say, first, I love the dark opening with the beginning of, like, them throwing out the baby and whatnot, which is just, like, terrible, but right there, like, it sets the tone, same thing, like, it's completely dark, and I'm not sure if you knew this, but the guy that plays the dad is Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So some people might not know, and it's funny, he's coming back on Gotham to play the Penguin's dad again.
Really?
Yeah, but because him and Tim Burton did the Pee Wee movie a long time ago, so yeah, he's the dad. So yeah, and then I was gonna say Christopher Walken. He's not a real character, but in the comic books, but like I really like him. Like, I guess I maybe say... Yeah, I'll say that more for the end, because I talk about the cast. But what is one of your first points?
I really like the intro when it's like... I love the music and the beginning intro
great.
with the theme. It's like, since Batman, and you see all the bats flying. And it just reminded me of, like, the Batman Begins intro, kind of. Because they had all the bats. And I love that so much.
Well, I talked about on one of the other casts that I kind of miss having superhero, like, theme songs. Like, all of them kind of have... And Dark Knight has, like... To me, like, it has music you understand with it, but, like, it's not so much a theme song where it plays with, like, credits and whatnot. And, like, Avengers, you kind of know what music, but there's not, like, that, like, I think the last one probably do that was, like, Spider-Man, like, with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, have, like, a real theme. And now they're just kind of scores, which is still fine, but I wouldn't mind a theme here and there. But, we'll go down your list first. What do you have? Because mine's, like, in good and bad, so then I can preference it. So what do you have next?
Well, I mean... First bit of the movie was good. I enjoyed it, but then when
because my things do go in order too. So like I was gonna say, the first part of the movie, I love the shot of when he's sitting in the Wayne Manor and they throw the bat signal, and it's like he has those reflective mirrors, which is a cool shot, but at the same time you kind of wonder why no one else questions it. I guess they just think it's spotlights up in Bruce Wayne's house.
Yeah, that's one thing I had. I'm like, how does no one notice, like, the 5 bat symbol reflectors on the top of his mansion.
Yeah, and I've always thought, like, what happened if just by chance he had somebody over for dinner or something, and then, like when Selena's there, nothing happens. So maybe, obviously there's an on and off switch for it, but I always thought, like, what if he's just hanging out or having a party, and all of a sudden the bat signal hits, and it's like, this is super awkward. Like, it's a cool moment, because he gets to stand up, and he's in the middle of the bat signal. It's really cool, but in a logic sense, you're kind of like, that's kind of weird. But yeah, I had the two. Like, I love the opening, but like the credits, the theme, and then obviously the darkness. But that was my first thing too. Is like I love that shot of him in the manor, and just it's a cool shot. But it's one of these things you had to almost sacrifice logic for the cool shot, but it's still cool.
It is, yeah. So that was definitely the one thing I had. Another thing was that I just thought was kind of funny, but I guess they did it because it's a Batman movie. But when Penguin's men all first show up, it's like the size of a whole mini army for crying out loud. They got guns and grenades and bombs. Yeah, and the chief commissioner comes in and he's like, what are you waiting for, the signal? I mean, I'd be calling the army for crying out loud.
It's funny, in these first 4 movies there's a recurring theme, and it's definitely, like, I talked about this for a little insider thing. I already recorded forever for this, and it's like throughout each movie it gets worse and worse, the police relying on Batman. Like in the very first Batman, it seems like, okay, they're doing stuff, but they don't have the strongest force. This one, it seems like they're working with Batman, but pretty much they're relying on him for a lot. And then forever, it's like, oh, they do nothing. Like, just call Batman. And then in Batman and Robin, they're just non-existent. Like, they don't even exist. They're just there as, like if the bad guys have goons, like, they're like Batman's goons of, like, oh, these guys are just gonna beat up. And I love that immediately, right when he gets on scene, like, the bat signal. And, like, yeah, it's, touching upon the goons, I like them, and it's kind of it's like a nitpicky thing. I think it was kind of weird, and obviously it's a Tim Burton thing, that we just had the Joker, and then, like, he has, like, I know they're supposed to be from the circus, but maybe they should have chose not so many clowns, because from the beginning, it's kind of, like, it's cool and all, I guess, but it's just kind of, it almost feels like it's the Joker's type of gang, because there's all these type of, like, circus and gang animals and things like this, or gang man or whatnot, like, and I guess, because Penguin grew up in the circus, so they try and write it that way, but when I watched that today, because I watched it today, I was like, oh, right, like, I always feel like these are, like, Joker's goons, but they're not, you know, so, what else do you got after that?
Again, love the music.
Yeah, the score is great the whole way through, and at one point I jumped a bit at the end, but my favorite score moment is when there's spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, first of all, if you haven't seen Batman Returns, it's been out since 1992. I don't know what you're doing, unless you're like 10 or 12, you gotta pass, but like the rest of you, like, come on, I know you've seen this, but it's the end when she kills herself another time with Max Schreck, and like all the stuff's falling, and I love the score there of like when Batman's trying to find her and she's gone, and then it's like the big build up, and then he turns and Penguin's standing there, and it's like great sound. That's my favorite part of the score. The score is really good. Like most Batman movies, thank goodness, have had good scores, even if they're bad movies, they're good scores. So I'll agree with you there on the score.
Definitely, I love it. Batman killing people.
He kills a lot of people in these movies.
I only caught him killing 2 people.
Well, it's not so much like he deliberately kills people, but I feel like there's times where he just does stuff that could kill people, you know? Like, it's just, whether it's explosions or danger, like the one point where he throws a guy in the well, or the bomb, with the bomb, like, also he just kills that one guy, but there's many times in situations where he just, like, he'll do stuff, but it's like, I hope this pans out, you know, and like it could hurt other people, you know, like when he shoots the guy, when he puts that guy on fire. Yeah, that's first of all, that's deliberately killing a guy. I don't know what I care what anybody says, but second of all, like that could cause a bunch of other fire. He could just shot, like, that's one thing I'll say on a positive side. I put the Batmobile is probably one of my favorite parts of this movie, because you get to see it do so much. It's so cool. I love like when it like implants on the ground, does like the 360 and whatnot. Like the Batmobile, I think, more than any other movies, in this one you get to see it actually do a really lot of cool stuff, like a lot of comic booky cool stuff, but it's cool stuff, whether it's the flame thrower or the stuff when he has like to pretty much break those guys' knees and whatnot. But yeah, it's like, that's on my bad side of notes, is like he does kill a lot of people, but that's because Tim Burton never read the Batman comic books before. Yeah. So. But
I mean, they could have changed it up a bit. I mean, when Batman puts the bomb on the big guy, he smiles for crying out loud. Throws him down. I mean, that's so dark.
Oh, I know. Like, it's like Batman's completely gone. Like, I wish there was some build up, but like he does it so nonchalantly in these movies, and yeah, it is a kind of a weird moment when he punches him and then he smiles, and then like he looks down the bombs on him, and then punches him and throws it on the well, just walks with the explosion, like. He's pretty fine with taking out, like, he doesn't care in this movie, like, but yeah, I put down my negatives, especially now when you see, like, with the Dark Knight series, how well they stuck to that rule of no killing, and they made, you know, like, they really wanted to emphasize that he will not take a life, like, on purpose, at least. I think there's maybe a couple times where, like, the Ra's al Ghul thing is always debatable. People are always like, well, he could have saved him, but, like, what was the line? But I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of the same, but okay. Like, but at least it was a bit more, like, okay, I understand. Where, like, oh, no, well, this doesn't happen. That's what I really hope with the newest movies when we're talking about lead up Batman vs. Superman, and we've talked about this on a couple casts, and we're going to talk about probably all that. I hope that he doesn't kill people in the new one, especially just because there was a quote from one of the producers that says he's, like, the judge, jury, and executioner of Gotham, and I'm like, that really concerns me, that line. It's really scary to hear, like, Batman as the executioner, so I hope, like, back here, it sticks out, but it almost gets, like an excuse because it was older. Like, it shouldn't have happened. He should have read and stuck to the thing, but it's one of these things that, like, okay, it's the first time Batman was a really big deal in the movies. Him killing people is not going to be that big of a deal. Like, they're not concerned about it, but he does it. In all these movies.
Did he kill people in, like, the old, like, Batman Robin movie too?
No, well, I'm trying to think if he actually killed, because me and Dylan just had watched, I'm trying to think it's nothing deliberate, like, he does not attach a bomb to anybody and kill them, like, but no, I don't think he does. He may accidentally, but, like, every time someone gets killed in the Batman 66 movie, he's really sad about it, and he's like, oh, Robin, like, that poor soul, or something like that. Like, so I don't think he does, and obviously in the 66, I don't think most of the criminals would always just get, like, put in a jail and come back in other episodes, so... Like, the movies were the only one to do it, and, like, the animated series doesn't do it because they're really close to the comics. The animated series are great, but these movies, like, in every single movie, I think he kills somebody. We're going to rewatch Batman Robin, so we'll see, but that's the only one where I can't remember if he does deliberately kill somebody, but I imagine he does, because he does it in Batman Returns, and Batman Forever. Like, he just kills people deliberately too. It's not even like the Batman Begins story. It's like, oh, okay, like, I could kind of see it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna throw a bomb on you, and and it's a brutal way to go too.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, that was on my bad notes. Yeah. Was I gonna say anything about the beginning? So, like, yeah, we have that, like, obviously you've seen the movie, and then Max Shrek gets, like, kidnapped or whatever. He ends up in the sewer and whatnot, and there's just, like, a couple, and I'll talk about, like, the whole cast, like, throughout, like, later on I have, like, a cast section, so I'll talk about them individually, but Danny DeVito, like, he's great as a penguin. It's nowhere near to what the comics are, like, he wasn't raised by penguins or whatnot, but I kind of give it a pass because he does so well with it. Like, I like it. I know it's not the perfect example, but I just put as, like, one line that I really like when he's in the sewage, and he's like, I really like him blackmailing Max Shrek, and then when he gets the hand, and he's like, "Hi, Max, I'm Fred's hand," and, like, that's been one of my favorite lines of, like, all time. So yeah, I just put that in there. It's, like, a really good thing. It's like, I like the actual blackmailing him, but then, like, just that one line is really good.
And he shakes his hand. We have a deal.
Yeah, and then he leaves him with the hand. What do you got next?
I love this is probably skipping ahead.
Oh, it's fine.
Actually,
it's usually all over.
Well, I won't skip it that far yet, but I like Catwoman. I like why can't I remember her name all of a sudden?
The actress or the
actress?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah. I like how she played Catwoman.
Well, see, we can talk about that right now. When we come to, like, things that we both have, we'll just talk about them because, like, I think with her, she's great, and then the chemistry is really great between those two. I'll let you finish up your notes there, and then I'll go into mine, but...
Well, I agree definitely with the chemistry. Like, I'm not fond of really romance kind of stuff in superhero movies.
Because it's usually done poorly. It's really just, like, damsel in distress, and then loves the hero, and that's pretty much it. You know, like, I think with this and the other one that did it well at the beginning was the first start of Iron Man, when they were really, like, they weren't together. Like, in the first Iron Man, they don't even kiss or anything like that. You know, like, there's a few movies that do it right, and even Spider-Man, I think it was well done, but then when they did the same thing for every movie, it was kind of like... It's the same drama over and over. Mary Jane just keeps getting kidnapped, and
and that's what I liked about this, because she's not just a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Like, she's her own, like, super villain, hero, whatever. And it's unique because it's very dark. Yeah. And she's not bad, and she's not really good either. She's just neutral. So that's pretty cool. And I like how Batman's just very just like, whoa.
Doesn't really know what to do with her at all.
He doesn't know what to do.
No.
Yeah.
No, like, that's what I put down, too. Like, I put the chemistry between them. I think another thing was they obviously have a little chemistry because it was a little bit before that they were dating in real life, so I imagine that had to play with some of it. But, like, Catwoman to me is one of my favorite characters all the time because I think Batman, like, there's an attraction there because he kind of sees a bit of himself in her because they're very similar, and this movie hits on those beats a lot, but like he sees almost like what could have gone wrong with him in a bit. She's not terrible. She's not deliberately killing people. Like that's why I like it's in my notes too. Like when Penguin does kill like the Ice Queen or whatever, she's kind of like, oh, like that wasn't the plan. Like you didn't have to do that. I like that it's the villains are pretty well written. That's where I do give the movie a really big pass, is because right there it shows that she's not completely evil. Like they could have just easily, like she just would have not said a word and you just been like, oh wow, Catwoman's just fine with him killing people, but she went out of his way. She went out of her way to say something, and that caused like the split between them. Like that's one thing. And then one thing before I forget to mention is at the very end of the movie when Penguin blows up the party. And he's gonna take Max Shrek's son. I like that Max Shrek is like sacrificing himself. Like, no, take me. Like, you want to take me? Like, it's one of these things where the whole movie Max Shrek is like this really terrible person. Like, he's a really greaseball of a guy. He's a complete dick. Like, he's really shady. But at the end of the day, he's still gonna put his life before his son's. And that's one thing that I think, like, some people, like, I think this movie is kind of in the middle. I feel like people kind of just feel like, oh, they kind of like it. But those are some of the things that make me do really like this movie. And I think people don't remember or don't even think about it, is how well written the villains are. I think people sometimes focus at like Penguin's not like a comic book character or whatnot, but like that's what I like with Max Shrek. He's a really bad guy, but he cares about his son. With Selena, she's a criminal, but she's only willing to go so far. She's not going to kill people unless it's like someone that's wronged her, but not just like random Ice Queen and whatnot. So
yeah,
no, that's to me my favorite part about this movie is the Batman Catwoman thing. Like that's one thing as far as the comics, I feel like they got it really well done. Like in the comics, it's very much like that. It's very this cat and mouse game between them. It's a very like not even a will they won't they. It's just like a will they ever be together, because it's always like that's why they're my favorite comic romance, because it's always like this like star-crossed lovers thing of like there's a chance for them to be together, or something goes wrong, or Bruce doesn't want to do it, or Selena doesn't want to do it, and that's probably one of my favorite. That's put in there too is what is it? Oh, is the not the dancing, the end. To me, that's especially if you don't read comics, it's very close to how I feel. And that's what I mean. Everything's like you can look at it any other way you want. Like everything's objective, but the way when he's kind of like, oh yeah, we're split right down the middle, right down the center, and whatever. And then she's kind of thinking about it, but then she's just like, oh, I just couldn't be happy with myself. And that's like Catwoman to a T of like, she could be happy and she could have all those things, but there's something in her stopping her from that. And Batman's kind of the same way. There's many times where, especially later on in the comics and whatnot, Batman doesn't have to be Batman, but he's pretty much obsessed with being Batman. He can't let it go. So that's what I've liked about them all, and that's what I really liked about the movie. It does a great job. I was gonna say if I had it. Oh yeah, no, I said everything, like their kindred spirits, everything like that. Like it does a really good job, and to me, it's the best part of the movie is those two together. Whether they're Selena and Bruce Wayne and Catwoman, because I like too the duality you get to see in the roles too. Like I like when they're on the couch and they have all the scars and whatnot, and they're kind of like, oh no, can't do this. And then they have the scene of Batman, like he's getting ready, all cool and calm, and there she is in her car, like she's trying to get her gear on and whatnot. Like it was a fun like play of that. It was a fun back and forth, and I think the movie does that really well. And just her alone, like I've said this on other podcasts, but like Michelle Pfeiffer was the reason, or is the reason I like Girls. At that point, it was still like Girls had Cootie until Michelle Pfeiffer came along as Catwoman. I was like, a girl, like she is like, no, she is like, I don't know if I'd ever meet her. I'd be like full blush, because like she's just like that girl. She was like the poster on my wall, like Michelle Pfeiffer, and that's what I like about Catwoman in this movie. Like she's really strong, but then she does have that kind of like, she has that sexual like quality about her. She has a tough about her. The only negative I'll say is from a writing standpoint, it is kind of weird that she goes from like, I've taken it a different way, but they don't write it this way. She goes from like super nerdy, like closeted girl to like out there and super badass and like sexual and everything. I've always took it as like, oh, because she cheated death, she's gonna like break all the rules, and she says like, screw that to my old life. I don't want to be that person. I'm just gonna be this like out there, live my life the one way. But I wish they would have wrote that a bit more, because it's really just like she's like kooky girl and then falls off a building, and then like she's like mega weird and messed up. Like it would have been like, and like I said back then, maybe they didn't have an idea of fleshing out the character that much. I think the character's still very fleshed out, but it's kind of, there's that in the middle of, they don't really explain how she got there. When she's there, she's a great character, but it's just kind of like she got bit by a couple cats and she's back to life, which I hate. I hate that. I hate that she comes back to life because of cats.
The feeling I kind of got was that she was shy and geeky, nerdy, all that, but and this her alternate ego or whatever, this new personality she takes on, that was inside her and it was just buried. Yeah. And on the outside it was just this geeky thing, and just because she's so put down and she just feels so self-conscious and everything. Yeah. So it was just clawing to get out of her, and then it caved when she died. So. Yeah,
and see, that's the same way I see it, but I wish they would have hinted upon that a little bit at the beginning, or wrote that in the middle, because even in the beginning, in that like first half an hour, there's really no signs of her like being that other person. It would have been better, like not a split personality or so, but just signs that you could see she was fed up with her life, but it didn't seem like she was gonna change at all. So like I said, I just kind of have to assume like, oh, she had a near-death experience that changed her, but it does warrant that was in my negative notes of like it, and it's really quickly, like it literally is like the same night where she's like super geeky girl to like ultimate badass, and it's kind of like there's no like, it's almost like we talk about with Darth Vader and Anakin, sometimes there's no like bridging gap of like, you know, like yeah, there's a few problems here and there, same as Selena, there's like a few problems here and there, but all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm killing all these kids, and that's the same thing as like, okay, I'm a crime fighter, or like I'm a criminal, and that's where it's like, that's the only negative thing I have with Catwoman. Like the performance is perfect, like what she has to do, like what they get her to do is perfect, but I thought like as far as writing they could have done a little bit better, but that's just like not a nitpick, that was just on my little notes, but yeah. What else do you go ahead?
I really like the Alfred. He's in all 4 of the films, and I think he's awesome. Yeah, and plus he's really like, I mean, you don't really get to see it in the Nolan trilogy that much, but this Alfred, he's like tech savvy. He's on all the gadgets and like on the computers and knows what he's doing and everything. And that I really like that too.
With no explanation, but he's just like, he's just a good butler. No, he's a great part of the whole series. Like he's just a solid. He's a really good actor, and that was one of my favorite. I had it in my good thing. I have like sometimes like lines that stick out. One of my favorite lines is when he brings up, when he's talking to Bruce Wayne about security, and then he's like, oh, like, you're one to talk, like, I'm just sitting there, and he's, like, referencing to the first movie, he's like, I'm just sitting there, like, oh, hey, Vicky, guess who let you into the Batcave, and I liked that little reference, and they had a good relation, like, a good back and forth. It's definitely the best out of the whole Batmans, like, I don't think any of them are that terrible. Clooney, it's not, like, it's not his fault, like, it's not, like, he would have been he'd still be a good Batman today, but it's like, he got a bad script, but I feel like, obviously, because the script was better than these two, that they had a better chemistry, and it just like, you really, to me, it felt like you could feel like they've known each other their whole lives, where the other ones kind of did just kind of feel like, oh, this is my butler in a way, not like my confidant, but yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I always got the sense that he knew how to take care of Bruce Wayne, and he was one or two steps ahead of Bruce Wayne too, or Batman. He knew he knew to let Vicky into the Batcave. He knew to.
I don't know if that was right.
But... No, that was right. Well, he knew to like let Robin in on it. Like,
That's true.
And his niece too in Batman and Robin. Like he knows when to go that extra step and to go behind Batman.
He kind of goes a little too far a couple times. Robin, I think, is okay, but with Batgirl, that's a big thing. He has a whole suit for her made and everything like that, and like she's not even like, that's the other thing too I bring up in my bad facts. The same thing as Catwoman. It's a little negative, same thing as writing, and it's hard with Catwoman, and the comics, they kind of explain it more because she's always a criminal, but almost in any movie, I hate when someone doesn't know how to fight, and then they're like super mixed martial artists, and that's one thing with Catwoman. And then same thing with Batgirl and Batman and Robin. She's like, I don't know, they show her do like one move against Robin, but all she is like a biker. It doesn't mean like a biker knows, like, I'm sure a biker can fight, but I don't think she knows like jujitsu or like these like famous arts or whatever. But yeah, no, Alfred's great, but yeah, he almost in every I think this is the only movie where he doesn't really go behind Batman's back. Like first movie lets Vicky in, the second movie or the third movie he's helping out Robin, fourth Batgirl. This is the only one where he knows his place.
Yeah, he got a talking to probably.
Yeah, in between. Alfred, seeing your views. What else do you got?
I had one I was gonna say. I like where did I write that on here?
I heard about this official paper that was printed off. I didn't get no official.
I ran out of ink, so I couldn't print it. I had GB on it, but it came out in blue because my ink was going low.
I heard.
Okay, here it is. I love the part when Catwoman and Batman and Penguin all come together.
Yeah.
Actually, before that, I'll Okay, pause that part. But, before that, I love the part where she's in the mall and she's smashing stuff, and then the two security guards come up and they're like, I don't know, to pull out my gun
or fall in love. Yeah.
And they pull out their guns and she turns around and whips them and she's like, please don't hurt us. Our take home is less than 300 or something. And she's like, you're overpaid.
You're overpaid. Yeah.
And they run off.
Yeah, like, no, and that's why one of the reasons I think I do like this movie, because the dialogue's really good, and I'll throw in there, like, there's one of my favorite lines, when they kidnap the Ice Queen, and Catwoman goes, Catwoman's in there, and Batman says, she said, the Ice Queen's like, I'll just tell the police that this guy with fish breath, like, took me, and then Catwoman comes down like, fish, I haven't eaten all day, and she goes to kick Batman, and Batman's like, eat floor, and he goes on the floor, he's like, it has good fiber, and it's like, there's stuff like that, like, see, and for me, that doesn't sound too cheesy. It's something Batman might kind of say. Like, to me, Batman does have one-liners, but it's always stuff like that, like, goes into almost violence, you know? And, like, he does in the comics, and I feel like in Nolan's he does in the newer ones, he probably will. Like, I feel like he should still be intimidating, but there's certain people, like, with Catwoman, he doesn't really intimidate, right? So those lines kind of work. But, no, I like that. That's a really good dialogue piece. And then I like just the whole sequence of her. She just, like, puts some... What does she put in the microwave again? Like metal or like a bomb? Like,
she puts like a bunch of spray cans.
Yeah,
in there,
right, the spray cans, which is
on.
right. But it's like it's a good sequence, and when she's like beating up the mannequins and she's skipping with the rope, like to me, I think it's one of these things where the writing is really good, but the writing is good. I'll give it that for Catwoman when she is Catwoman, but it's like. I feel that was more the actress bringing that to it. Like, I feel like you could have put a lot of other actresses in there and it wouldn't have been as good. And for an example, and this is, like, not a bad thing because I think she was a good Catwoman, but was Anne Hathaway to me in Dark Knight Rises, she did not leave any, like, lasting impression on you. Like, I feel like this, when you walk out of, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, yay, Batman, but you're also like, Catwoman's awesome too. Like, Penguin is, but I feel like Catwoman, she feels just so special in this movie and so, like, unique, her character, where, like, in Dark Knight Rises, she's just kind of, like, to be honest, a sassy bitch. Like, that's kind of the way she is, and I feel like that could be more writing, but even then, like, Anne Hathaway was good, but it wasn't anything I was like, oh man, I remember that. Like, if I was something like, if I was talking about top 10 comic book performances of all time, Hathaway wouldn't be in here, where Michelle Pfeiffer I would put here, and I'm not sure where I would rank her, because there's a lot of good performances out there, but she would be in the top 10 for sure, because she feels like Catwoman, and everything that Catwoman should be, and like I said, the movements of her, and like, even what you're going into the scene where they like reveal her, they all meet, and she does all the flips. Oh, she's not flipping, but just then she drops like the meow line. But it's not like cheesy the way she does it. It's like a good, like, she's a cat, but she's doing it in kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way. Like, she does it pretty good. There's a few times I don't like when she gives herself like the cat bath. Like, that was a little like, they made her sometimes a little too catty, but when she's saying lines, she just delivers it so well. But that's what is there anything important as far as that scene you put in here?
Yeah, I love, that's the scene where they all come together, and it's not to like fight each other, they're all just standing there and just kind of like, it's just like an acknowledgement, like, okay, here's
the rest of the movie. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it feels like a standoff, even though they're not gonna fight really, and just, I like those.
Shit's about to go down from here, because it's kind of like, especially Penguin's speech to them. They have a good speech of like, oh, you don't think that, oh, what does he say? It's like, oh yeah, you don't think you can win, do you? And then Batman's like, oh, things change and everything like that. And then when he's like, you're not the mayor, and Penguin's like, things change, you know. So it's like, it's a good thing. And then Catwoman just kind of comes out of there from nowhere. And Danny DeVito, the Penguin's so perfect because he drops that line of like, I saw her first, gotta fly, and he like throws something, and then he starts to fly away in his umbrella. And some of these things, like just the flying umbrella alone, it's pretty funny. Like that's a good scene. Yeah. I was gonna say. Let's see, I liked, we have, I talked about the fish thing, I talked about the villains turning on each other already, and the Catwoman not being a horrible person. This is kind of, like, leading to it, because we talk about Ice Queen. I think anytime, and they do it in another Batman movie that we cover, it's the animated one, but in comics or TV shows, I think anytime Batman's framed, it's kind of good, because it just kind of, it's good when Batman works for the police, but it is good to kind of have that other, like, lesser evil, something else on top of his plate. Very much like, it's one of my favorite shots in The Dark Knight Rises is when he comes back the first time, and he literally just, it looks like all of Gotham PD is behind him. And that's what I feel like in this, you couldn't have got that, because like, obviously it's like, I think of the times. You couldn't really, that would have been a lot of budget, but even just the fact of like, okay, like he's dealing with the Ice Queen dying, and then he's fighting Catwoman, and then all of a sudden these cops come out and shoot him. Like, it just is one of those things of like Batman's just like having another really bad day. Like, it's just another thing on top of his plate between everything else he has. And once again, Gordon doesn't get to do much in this movie, but he does get that one good line of like, he does try to stop the police from shooting him, and I like that. But like, that's really the rest of you see him in the movie. Like, he usually gets one or two scenes, and at least in this movie and the other movie, they're good. After, in the next few movies, they start to be like just cheesy bad scenes. So,
yeah.
So that was what I put. I just liked that anytime Batman's being framed, it's kind of good, and it's just like. And then you get into the whole, like, I think it might be on your list, with the whole, like, Batmobile takeover and whatnot.
That's on my list, yeah.
I think it's fun seeing. I guess the only nitpicking thing I would hope that the Batmobile couldn't be taken over so easy by, like, these goons.
Yeah, and I mean, they had blueprints for crying out loud. Where'd they get that stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it'd be different if it was somehow explained, like, the way they do explain in Dark Knight Rises is, like, oh, yeah, we knew Wayne Tech had this stuff, and we just made replicas of it. So it's like, okay, like, it seemed a little above average that they had like 20 tumblers, but still it's like, okay, it's possible, I guess. But with this, it was kind of like, where are you getting all this? So it's like, I like the actual scene, and it's fun when he's like the cop, he's running over the cop cars, and I like when the thing won't start, and he's like, well, that's not good, and he's like hitting it won't go, and then finally it like splits and whatnot. Like, it's a really good scene, but it's the same thing, one of these things of like, they kind of sacrifice logic for it. Like, oh, we have this cool idea where Penguin would be driving it. And I like that Penguin has this, like, fake...
Yeah,
like,
he's inside his little RV, and he's in the little Batmobile.
Yeah, and Danny DeVito on those scenes are great. He's like, and he's, like, doing all this stuff, and he's saying... Of course, he's saying all the stuff that he gets recorded later. So, like, the same thing as... I can't remember. We said earlier that there's, like, this same thing where it's a really good scene, but the logic is kind of, like, you gotta kind of, like, look past it a bit. So it's like, okay, like, I guess, but it's, like, it's really cool. And then Penguin just freaks out when Batman gets out of there. But,
that was a scene I definitely nitpicked just for the podcast, just to talk about how they managed to hack it. But no, I just, after that part, from then on, I'm laughing because just you see Batman and he's trying to concentrate on the problem, and all you have is Penguin
and his little like monitor, and then at one point he punches the monitor too.
Which he should have done at the beginning, because he's like, ah! I'm surprised Batman's not freaking out at that, because your brain would want to melt or something from that. It's so annoying.
Yeah, no,
that's what I love.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good part, but it's like, it is one of those you have to sacrifice a little like logic for. What was I gonna say? It's another good one line. I guess I'll save it. Well, no, I'll say it right now, because this is I'm coming to like a couple of my last favorite things. The other one-liner I liked is at the end when Batman and Penguin are fighting, and then he has them, and like he's choking with the umbrella, and he's like, "You're just mad that I'm a genuine freak, and you need I'm a genuine freak, and you need to wear a mask." And then Batman's like, "You might be right," and he like hits him off. It's one of those things, like, it is kind of a comedic line, and they play it more like that in the movie. But it definitely is a bit of a little, like, that's where it feels like this movie, like, they touched upon Batman's psyche, but didn't go too far, where the Nolan ones, they tried to. There's some stuff that's, like, I'm not going to say Nolan's series is perfect, but I feel like, as far as live action movies, they went in his psyche the most, as far as Bruce Wayne, especially Batman Begins. But, with this, it was a nice little touch upon, like, I feel like Batman kind of does feel, like, there is a little truth to that. Like, Batman is a freak, too. It's the same thing I always try to tell people that don't read the comics, like, Batman is not just kind of like this do-gooder that dressed up in a batsuit. Like, he's a really messed up dude who's just, like, obsessed with, like, stopping criminals and beating criminals and being obsessed with a batsuit. You know, there's many comics where, like, he won't even take it off. One time he won't even take it off for sex. Like, he's just, like, he's a messed up dude. And that's where it's, like, it's a little, almost a throwaway line, but I like the line because it's just kind of, like, there's maybe a part of him that knows, like, he does this to get justice for his parents and vengeance across Gotham's criminals, but at the same time he does it maybe because he's a little messed up too. But what do you got next on your list?
When Catwoman and Penguin meet, like, for the first time after they have that 3-person encounter or whatever, but she's in his, like, secret lair or whatever, and just, it's how I picture supervillains to kind of form an alliance. The whole time, they're not like, let's do this, let's kill Batman. They're intimidating each other. Like, she, like, goes for the bird, and, like, he's throwing around, like, sexual, like,
innuendos all the time. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I like that scene. There's a lot of intimidation, and it's not so much, like, they both have a plan. Like, they kind of want Batman out of the way, but it's for different reasons, which I like. It's not just like, let's kill Batman, cool. Like, it's like, because she just kind of like Batman's kind of thorn in her side, and then Penguin wants to be the mayor, and it is a great like kind of tit for tat as far as like give me what you want, I'll give you what you want, but then at the same time there's like a good like animosity there. So yeah, it's good. Did you know she actually put the bird in her mouth for that scene, a live bird?
I didn't know she. I mean, watching it, it looked like it.
Yeah, because they tried like a dummy bird and apparently it looked awful, so she put a live bird in her mouth. And that's a question I'd like to ask her. Like, that has been one of the worst experience of your life ever. Like, I couldn't imagine putting anything like animal in my mouth live, let alone like a bird. I feel like the bird would be freaking out. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but yeah, that's a good scene. Yeah. Well, as far as like kind of the last scene I have as far as my good stuff, and I'll probably talk more when you bring up some stuff, but where is it? Here is it in my notes. Why do I feel like I just deleted it?
Okay, I got another line.
Say that while I'm looking for mine.
Okay. And I'm skipping ahead to the end, but we can go back before this part. But when Penguin's giving a speech at the end saying like the mayor let all this happen, and Batman has his recording.
Oh yeah, DJ Batman.
He plays it and it starts speaking while Penguin's speaking. And then the people start saying boo, and Penguin pulls out his umbrella
and just going it down.
Yeah, well, he says, why is there always someone who brings eggs and tomatoes to a speech?
And then he just like...
Yeah, he starts...
Well, that wasn't one of my fun facts that I'll bring up later, but I will bring it up now, was they had a stand-in for that, and Dave was like, no, like, I want to get pelted with all the tomatoes and everything like that. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, that's just a good scene. And I love, too, there's this really random part in there when he goes to jump off the stage, and he just lands, like, face first on a guy and, like, falls back. It's one of these things, like, I guess they're just showing off the Penguin just kind of, like, wobbly and whatnot, but it's just, like, kind of out of nowhere, and he's like, what? And he hits it, and, like, that's about it. Yeah, no, the scene I was going to say, this is my last, like, really good thing, and then I have, like, some bad stuff in the cast, but, it's probably in my top 5 for favorite Batman scenes, also because I'm a sucker because I like Catwoman, but is when they both find out that each other are each other at the dance party. Like, that the dance party scene alone is pretty good. I like the interaction with Max Schreck. It's pretty good. I can't remember I just watched it today, and he said something about like, oh, you almost made like a criminal the mayor or whatnot, blah blah, and then Max Schreck's just like yawn, and he like walks away. He's just such a dick. Chris Walken's great, but I love how they come back to the beginning or like the middle of the movie. They have this line about like, oh, mistletoe is deadly if you eat it, and then a kiss is even deadlier if you mean it, and it's reversed where Batman said that, and then Catwoman, and then when they're dancing, it's a reverse where Catwoman sees it because she's just freaking out in the middle of this dance. She's about to kill Max Schreck, and she takes his gun out. And once again, Michelle Pfeiffer is great. Like, she takes it out, she's freaking out. Bruce is trying to talk her down, so that's great. And then he kind of talks her down, and then they drop that line. And I love like they both step back. It's a credit to both them acting wise. Like, they just look horrified, and it's like horrified, and that's that. And I love the line of Selena when she's like, "Oh, do we gotta start fighting against that thing?" I'm like, I'm horrified, but then like, what does this mean from here? And then like, I like just like before they go back to dancing, there's a tear, and even Bruce Wayne, he just cares about it so much, he wipes it away, and they go back to dancing. Like, it's just like, I think maybe I'd have to say, like, not to sound like cheesy or whatnot, but I think it might be the most beautiful scene in any Batman movie, because it's just like, it is that realization of like, these people do care and love each other because they see each other in one another, but they kind of know in that, even though later on the shit hasn't really hit the fan, I feel like in that moment they kind of know like, this isn't gonna pan out. Like, it's like, because it's like we're on opposing sides, like it's not gonna work out, and obviously it doesn't, but it's like, it's just a really good, like, the whole scene of them dancing is good, and it's a lot of good character development. It's a lot of like how you see they're similar, but I just love that, the realization, they step back, they're scared shitless, they go back to dancing, and then Penguin ruins it with this big rubber ducky. And like, the only nitpick I have that scene is hate when the floorboard blows up and it's like a complete circle. Like, you could see it was a set stage. Like, they should have had it a shot like from not from a bird's eye view, but from like just a regular, like over the shoulder or something. Like, they should have had it on the ground so you didn't see the circle, because I'm not sure if maybe the camera, like, they could have found a way for the camera not get hurt, but that was the only thing that stands out now when you watch it a second time. You're like, that's clearly a circle they made to get blown up, and it kind of stands out. But so yeah, that was like my last really good thing. But yeah, if I had to make one day, I want to do a cast of like my favorite Batman moments. But that to me it's one of my favorites. It's definitely the favorites, I think, out of these 4 like the older films, because it's just like, it's a great moment. Like, I like Catwoman, and Batman and Catwoman are my favorite romance. so I'm biased already, but it's just really well done and it's really well acted by both of them. What do you got next?
This is kind of a negative, but
I'm getting to my negatives too. Yeah, okay. So
the people of Gotham at this point are so gullible. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, like I have in here one of my top negatives is like the baby stealing scene. Super cheesy. Like it's like this jester comes up and there's no force. He just like takes the baby and doesn't he say even something into the microphone or something like that? Like he stops for a while and says like a line and goes away. It's like, first of all, he's the mayor. I would feel like at any press conference he should at least have a couple guards. Like there's enough time for some guard. Like I know they wouldn't want to do it, but if this guy's about to jump about back in a well, like shoot this guy in the head and take the baby. The baby might get a little blood on, but it's like he's about to take the baby, and then you get the whole like, oh, Mr. Penguin Man, and then the Penguin just comes up, and then he's just like sworn in, and like you said, the whole movie, he's like even at the rally, like they have like I guess that's the same thing with the writing. Maybe they didn't play it off. I think they tried to play it off as like people felt bad for him, but you didn't get that a lot because even at the grave site, like reporters are still kind of a dick in a way. Like there's not like they should have played more into people of Gotham because like you said, without them writing it that way, they just kind of come off really stupid. And it kind of comes off of like, of course Batman's gonna save them because they're people, but it's like, are these people even worth their time? Like it's just like
kidding.
They just fall for this guy's trap. Like it's just one of these things. But no, I'll agree with that. They're so gullible.
They are. It's not even worth saving. They should be left in the dark. Kind of like, just piggybacking on when you said he got framed, I thought that was really, really well played, because it's not just your classical punching and beating up, but this is like a mental approach to,
exactly.
to screw with Batman. I really like that. And I love the part when I don't love the part when the Ice Princess dies. It's after that when there's a little group of bats and then all the bats start flying around and Batman just jumps and flies.
Like the shot of like Gotham and whatnot.
Yeah, just
it's really
flying
cool
through all the bats and everything. I just love that part.
Yeah, that part's really cool. And I like that they did that layer because. Oh no, I guess that was different because they set up the bats in the tree. I guess because later on they do that shot of Penguin going through the glass with the bats, but I guess that was different because the bad guy set that. But anyways, carry on. I was wrong.
And I mean, I can't say it reminds me of Batman Begins because Batman Begins came out after, so I should say Batman Begins reminds me of that. But I mean, it reminds me of Batman Begins again because it's just him flying through the bats like he did in that movie too. I think that's just an awesome Batman moment to like embrace what he is in a sense, like a bat, and I think it's really, really awesome. What else do I got?
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing I put. It's kind of in the middle. I put Penguin's death scene. For some reason, it's very cheesy that the penguins walk him into the water, but it's still, for me, I don't know why. It's probably because I did see this when I was a kid, but it's still kind of sad because it's like that's one thing they did do good. They made it seem like these penguins like. This is kind of their dad in a way, so like I just like that. Like that to me, like for some reason that scene always still, and it's the score too. Like it's really like quiet, like it's not quiet music, but it's very almost like operous music, like very sad music. And that's why I like that. Even though the penguin died, like it's like it seems like there's some people that kind of cared about him, even though they're just animals. It's kind of nice. So like I know it's super cheesy, but for me, it's one of these things that I like that. So
I thought he was really at the end. He was really just gross looking, like
especially when his ooze coming out of him.
And I hate his onesie so much. It's so gross.
Like it's just like it's sweat stain and blood stain. Like it's one of the grossest things ever. But it's great that way.
He looks good in a suit though. Like when he said like I'm touring the riot scene, he's got his top hat. Like he looked like how like Mr. Penguin would look like, and like a mayor too. But yeah, that onesie just wasn't working.
No, there was not a good onesie. No.
Do you have anything else on your list?
I have. I brought the penguin thing. Here's as far as lines, as far as bad. Like it's good bad, but I like when Batman comes. It's all in Penguin's lab or like lair, and like Penguin's falling from the roof, and then Max Schreck is trying to get away. Catwoman gets him down. It's like kind of standoff. Like Batman's over there. And like Catwoman's right there, and then like Max Schreck is right there, and it's that whole thing of blah blah blah. And that's when he's giving a speech to her. And the speech, that to me is great. Another like Batman Catwoman moment of like split down the middle, and like Michelle Pfeiffer looking completely crazy. Like not just like the suit is great because her like hair's all over and whatnot, but it's just like her eyes are bulging and you see her veins. Like she's just killing it. It's amazing. Like it's like I said, one of my favorite performances. But then it's one of these things of like. And, well, there's two things. One, if you notice when Batman takes off his mask, they do this in every Batman movie. I'm waiting for them just to fucking go through with it once. He's, all of a sudden, his face is normal. But when he wears the mask, he has, I'm not sure if you ever know that, he has black makeup around his eyes. But when he takes his mask off, it's gone.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they don't even do this thing of, like, he's talking to Selina, and he has the black eye makeup. They go to Selina, and then when they go back to him, he's wearing the Batman mask without the black makeup, and it's super weird. And then he takes the mask off. They almost should have done something like, go to the black makeup, he starts to rip it off, go to Selina, and then when he rips it off, it's gone. So it's like, it wouldn't have stood out, but because you have a split, like, 3 seconds of him wearing the Batman mask with no black makeup, and it really stands out. But anyway, so it gets to that, they're having that heart-to-heart, and that's when they kind of talk about each other in the first person, or their first, like, names, like Bruce and Selina. So she, of course, she scratches him because she's just like, she's not going to accept Bruce's love because she just feels she's a terrible person. And then Shrek is like, Selina Kyle, and then he's like, you're fired. And then it's like a cheesy line. And then I like when he's like, and Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed like Batman? And she's like, because he is Batman, you fool. Like, something that's like, it's kind of cheesy and comedic and doesn't, it's good because it fits his character. At the same time, like, you had this really emotional scene, then you just said, but that's when I think, like, you're fired. And
yeah.
It's like, it's really good. And, like, that sequence is kind of weird because, like, I kind of like how she kills him, but it's kind of, like, weird. And, like, I don't know, like, it's kind of cool. I guess that's what I mean. The acting never bugs me. I think the performance is perfect. How do you feel about, like, her having 9 lives in the movie? Like, do you like that? Or, like, is it kind of, like... I don't know, because, like, already have the start of, like, the cats bringing her back to life, so I guess there's that, but, like, do you like the 9 lives, or...
Well, in the comics, does she have
No,
that?
she's just a regular person.
Okay, then I mean...
She might make jokes about it, but, like, she's not literally getting shot in the head, and she's just walking towards Max Shrek,
yeah.
Like, well, there goes another, and, like, she falls off a building in a kitty litter, or, like, whatever, like...
I guess, like, most of that's pure luck, like
yeah.
I mean, it depends how you want to take it. You can take it as, oh, this Catwoman really does have 9 lives, or you can take it as she's just lucky, because...
really durable.
And durable,
She fell off a fucking, like, 50-story building, but that's one thing I will agree, and that's the way I kind of look at it, is she's just kind of nuts. And I think Tim Burton looked at the literal way of she does have 9 lives. I looked at it as, like, I'm not sure if that's the writers that did that, but even when she falls from the building, she does get caught by all those, like, nets or whatnot, like that. So it's one of these things like, oh, it lessened the blow. The cat thing comes in and I was like, oh, this is kind of like a little lame, like them biting on her and whatnot and everything like that. I forgot to mention my good points. I do like when she snaps in her apartment, when she just goes nuts and she's killing the teddy bears and she's killing, like, the Barbie house, and then, like, I can't remember what, when she breaks the things on the wall, it says something. Oh, it said something nice, but then when she breaks it says hell here. And it's like little stuff like that. Like, and that's why, like I said, I guess I kind of do the writing of my own a bit. I do take it as like, oh, she just snapped and that's why she's a different person. But where were we going? Oh, well, even all the 9 lives, they do kind of explain it, but the gun one was a little bit much, and the, like, taser was pushing it of, like, there's no way she could survive this. So that's when it is really like, okay, she does have this, like, 9 lives. But that's where, up at that point, like, okay, she fell through the glass, she landed in some dirt, so I was like, okay, maybe, like, she, like you said, durable, lucky, but when she gets shot and the taser, like, there's no way. Like, she would die. That's the only thing. I like... Even if they did that in today's movie and left it ambiguous, if it was like at the beginning, but like I said, her just getting shot, and even shot, that's fine. But once she does the taser thing, that's like, because you look what happens to Max Shrek. He's a fucking skeleton when Batman finds him.
He was all wet and he didn't grab that conductor too. She grabbed that, so she'd be okay.
Oh, I guess, yeah. What was I gonna say? Let's see. Looking for bad things. Let's talk about the circus. Catwoman Come to Life. I didn't really like. Penguin's Army, I kind of brought that up, and the Penguin Army, same thing, like, that's where I do like this movie, but I feel this movie has a bit more cheese than the first Tim Burton one, because they try to go darker, but then with darker you get to almost more supernatural, and I don't know, I kind of find it hard that he trained all these penguins to, like, have rockets and go at certain points. That was one of these things of, like, I kind of accept it, but it sticks out as kind of a little lame and a little cheesy and kind of like an eye roll of like, okay, there's these penguins. You know?
He had a lot of them too. Like when Batman looks on the scanner or whatever, there's a good like probably 10,000 freaking penguins out there.
Oh, I know. It's so it's funny, but that's it for like my list as far as like things that stick out good or bad. Do you have anything else on your list there?
No, that's all that I wrote on my list. But I mean.
Well, we can talk about the cast now, because Keaton, I think he's still great. He's my second Batman, because I always say that like as far as like live action, as far as Bruce Wayne, sometimes he kind of plays him a little not nerdy, but a little aloof in the first one. I will say in Batman Returns, I think he does get to be more Bruce Wayne-ish, like when he has that meeting with Shrek. And he comes off a bit more suave when he's talking to Selina. So I feel like his Bruce Wayne's actually better in this than it was in Batman Returns. And to be honest, I actually feel like, and I'm not, like, this is knocking Batman Returns is better than Batman. This is not knocking the first Batman, but I feel like he's a better Batman / Bruce Wayne here. He's maybe not as scary, but I feel like in the first Batman you had that element because he's still trying to be pretty much hidden, where in this one he's specifically talking to the cops. And anytime he's like talking to the cops, he loses like a little like intimidation because it's like, okay, he's a normal guy. But I feel like he's great. And you said he's your favorite Batman. Of like, is that of all time then?
He's out of the original 4, absolutely.
The original, but Bale. Well, there's only 3. Remember? Because there's him, Kilmer, and Clooney. Because remember he did 2. So
I mean the original 4 movies, yeah. But
original 4. Okay, right. I thought you meant 4 people. I'm like, who am I missing?
Yeah,
Adam West.
Yeah, well, Adam West, he's not for me. But I definitely between
him and Bale, I don't care. No, don't. If you like him more than Bale, that's fine. But like, I just want to know why. Because lots of people don't like Bale because of his voice and like things like that, which I like. That's one thing I've always talked about, and I guess we'll talk about with whoever I do Begins and Dark Knight with. Like, I've always liked Bale's voice because, first of all, other than a few lines here and there, I'd be like, okay, didn't understand what he said. I could understand the whole thing, like, to me. So that was never a thing of like, I don't understand what he's saying. The same thing with Bane, people would always be like, I couldn't understand him. Like, I could understand him. So I guess that's why it didn't bug me. But I always liked his voice kind of being monstrous, but then I do like Keaton's too because it's just like a lower pitch. It's just a bit, it's more intimidating, where his is intimidating and tough, where Bale's is kind of like scary and like a monster in a way. But
yeah, no, I don't get me wrong, I love the way Bale did Batman, especially with his voice and everything. Like, I really liked it. But with Keaton, his voice is a little lower, and just, I don't know, I like how he looks in the bat suit, like, and he just, I don't know, I get a good amount of enjoyment when I see him in both movies, like the first Batman and Batman Returns. Yeah. When he is Batman, I don't know, I
so like you like, is it one thing where you kind of go back and forth, or are they kind of tied, or do you prefer Keaton over Bale? Like, if you had to watch, like, taking the quality of the movies, because obviously the Nolan ones are like a different writing thing, but as far as Batman, like, you like Keaton's a bit more better just because, like, and also too, I guess we grew up with him, so that's why we love him too. But like, there's just some about Keaton's you like more as far as like the aura of Batman. I'd
say they're tied. I mean, they're both 2 different Batmans in 2
from different eras.
Yeah, from different eras. Like Bale is more modern. He's dark in a different way, and then Keaton, it's like, as you said earlier, it's like a gothic kind of movie, and he's dark, and he's into that role really well. So I mean, they're both tied for me. I like both ways they portrayed Batman.
Yeah, no, I love Keaton. With Pfeiffer, I'm just starting to see, because we talked about her performance a lot, so I'm not sure if there's anything. Yeah, there's nothing to add with Pfeiffer, because we kind of ranted about her in the middle, so I think same thing, she did perfect, and that's about it to me. Like, anything you want to add there? Or?
No, I mean, besides the fact, like, she's a great Catwoman. I mean, if you look at the other 2 options that we've had, or other 2 Catwoman.
Anne Hathaway, and then the 60s one, which the 60s one's good, but like...
Well, I meant the other one.
What other
Catwoman
one?
movie?
Oh my god! I feel like I think I maybe went and got a lobotomy to get that out of my brain. I completely forgot. I'm like, what do you mean the other Catwoman movie? Yeah, and see, to me, okay, well, that's bad writing too as well. But the same thing to me, like Halle Berry, to me, I don't even know in good writing if she could have had the essence of Michelle Pfeiffer. And that's not a shot at Halle Berry. She's an Oscar winner. She's a great actress and some stuff. But like, I just feel like there was something perfect about it. And it's the same thing where, like, with Ledger and the Joker, it's one of these things where Leto has that uphill climb to get there. And it's like, Leto could be amazing, but people are still going to compare him to Ledger, and it's up to him. If he's better, great for him, or if he's average. Like, to me, it's not about... I don't know. For me, in any performance, it's not like if it's better. It's just if it's, like, matchable or just a good another take. Where, like, with Michelle Pfeiffer's... I think people are still trying to chase it because we haven't really had another good take. Like I said, Anne Hathaway's, it's good, but it's not like, it doesn't say, it's not memorable like this. Like this, it's not something you're like talking about. Like, man, Anne Hathaway was great. And you'd be like, oh yeah, she was good. Like she wasn't bad in it, and like it's the writing. But with this, I feel like she's the only Catwoman. Like, she still has her stamp, where with Joker, I still feel like Jack Nicholson is a great Joker, you know, despite, like, it being the 90s. I talked about this already, or the 80s. I feel like he was a great Joker. Heath Ledger's a great Joker. And to me, even though I've said some stuff in the past, I legitimately feel like Leto's going to be really good. And I think he's, like, just the performance-wise, he looks like he's killing. So to me, with Joker, you have, like, other takes on it and whatnot. With Catwoman, she's still the only one to me that stands out. There's, like, I feel like any actress is still trying to get above that.
Yeah.
And, like, this character, I could see her having her own movie or a story, something like that. Obviously, it wouldn't happen now because time has passed. But, like, you think about Anne Hathaway, like, that character to me, like, that would not be the greatest movie. Like, it'd be, like, she's better as a side character. And then you look and you saw Halle Berry's character. So, yeah. No, good thing you mentioned that. I completely forgot about Halle Berry. Awful movie. Awful movie. And then Danny DeVito we talked a bit about, but, like, I had, like, under here as it's, like, he plays a gross, disgusting villain. And I love, like, him as a character, like, and as an actor, he commits 100%, which I watched the documentary too, and times he'd be like the penguin on set for kind of fun and whatnot, but like, he just is going for it. And that's one thing I like about these really original, it seems like these first ones really did that with Batman, and Carrey kind of does that in Forever, but like with Batman and Batman Returns, I feel like Nicholson, Pfeiffer, and Danny DeVito really put 100% in them, or even roles like in later movies, like in movies from 2000s or 2010s, I feel like there's people that are villains or in comic book movies are kind of like, yeah, I'm in a comic movie, I'm just doing this, but I feel like they go overboard. And Danny DeVito, for sure, like, he puts everything in that character. Like we said, he looks so gross, and like, but at the same time, he does characters so well where I don't even think this is a writing thing, and this is him acting, and the score at times, they do it perfectly, but I still kind of feel bad for him, you know? Like, I feel bad for the Penguin's character. He is, like, a vile human being, but I feel bad for him because, like, yeah, his parents did drop him out, they threw him out, and that's what he just wants to do. He wants to be normal. He doesn't really know how to be normal, but there's, like, I feel, to me, he's, like a tragedy villain, you know? It's one of these things of, like, he's a villain because of what happened to him. He's not just, like, a bad guy. Where you look at, like, the Joker in the first Batman, he's a bad guy who became an even badder guy. But this, it's like, who knows what would have happened, but, like, he was a deformed kid who, like, your parents are most supposed to love you, and they just toss you out. So it's one of these things, you kind of felt bad the whole time. And then at the end, he goes back to just being a terrible, like, to me, they did it perfectly. He was bad and creepy, and then you felt bad for him in the middle, even though he's doing bad stuff, because you're like, oh, this guy, but then he tries to kill kids, you're like, okay, I hate this guy again all of a sudden. Like, it was a great, like, back and forth. But.
Well, what did you think of the part where he's, like, eating the fish, and then he's like, worse, my nose could be gushing
It's
blood.
like, and then he bites the guy's nose and whatnot. Super disturbing. Like, it's super messed up. And once again, the gullible things of Gotham, like, everyone's just, like, they're just fine with it, they go along, and then, like, one of my favorite parts, and like, he's coming up next to my thing, and it's such a small role, but Christopher Walken as Max Schreck, I do this all the time. I do this sometimes with my girlfriend. She gets annoyed when Penguin bites the guy's nose, and then Max Schreck's like trying to go, oh, I went back to work, and he does like the hand signal, so he won't do it on the podcast, but he's like, let's make a mayor, and he's just like he's so like into it, and it's just like, Christopher Walken to me adds so much to this movie. It's one of these things, same thing I talk about Michelle Pfeiffer, like Walken, and a Walken in this to me is not actually doing the whole like, hey, I'm Christopher Walken, like the like kind of stereotype impression people does. Like, he's doing a character who's like, and he does it well. Like, he comes off like, to me, I feel more bad for Penguin than I do for him, because this guy's just a total douchebag, and he's terrible. He wants to just take power from Gotham City. Like, he's awful, and like I said, they do that thing at the end with the sun, but most of the movie is awful, but he plays it so well, and he's funny in his lines. Like, I do like when he's getting blackmailed, he's just kind of like, oh yeah, Fred's good, like, he took a vacation and whatnot. And then when Bruce Wayne is like, he comes in, he's like, oh, I'd get you my my assistant get you coffee, but she's on a skiing accident, and then she's at a skiing trip, and then when Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman, comes in, Bruce like, what happened to you? He's like, that must have happened on your skiing trip. Yeah. She's like, oh, right. Like, he like adds like this really dark humor to it. That's what I like the gothic of it. And that's what I mean. Like, I feel like this movie, if people don't like it, like, you're allowed to like it or not, but I feel like it gets a more of a bad rep. And like I said, maybe there's just certain characters I like in actors, but I think it maybe just gets a bad rep because maybe it goes on. There is stuff like Batman killing, and like Danny DeVito's Penguin is not that. So I get that, but to me, I'm in a day and age where we're getting stuff closer to the comic book. So these movies I can look at more, not as much as Batman 66, but kind of like, okay, that was a time capsule. That's what they thought Batman was now. Now with Nolan's, I kind of feel like, for me, there's definitely more stuff I want Batman. I'd like a Batman movie every year, but like for me, that was my like that's my favorite franchise, like my favorite movie. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm cool with it. And now like with Returns, it's not like if that's my whole thing when we talk about Batman vs Superman. If we have a new movie and he's killing people, that to me is where, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe because we didn't grow up with the movie, people when it happened, people didn't like it because there was so many deviations from the comics, and people have said that. So it's the same thing where maybe Batman vs Superman, if Batman's just killing people, I won't like it because it deviates from the character. But I guess because we can look back on it as like nostalgia in a way, I like it. But was there anything you want to add to Danny DeVito or Christopher Walken?
No, Christopher Walken, yeah, he's an asshole. He's such a, you hate him, and he's got, like, the one part where he's like, if she tries to blackmail me, I'll throw her out a higher window. Like, he's such an asshole.
Yeah. And then, like, when he forgets his speech, he's like, remind me to take it out on what's her name. You know?
Yeah.
Everything, like, there's nothing, other than, like I said, that part with his son at the end, there's nothing redeemable about this character. And that's why, but he does it in still a way that you, like, laugh and whatnot, so... we'll do an overall score, and then I just have I have a few fun facts we can go over. What out of 10? How many Batmans or Batarangs would you give it out of 10? How many how many raw fish out of 10 would you give it?
I'd give it like 8 raw fish.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot.
I was thinking about that, and I think I'm gonna give it 8. It's literally always be between like that and 7.5. I still like it a lot. The 8, like, if it is an 8 or 7.5, like, it's tough for me, but I'll give it an 8 because I love, like, there's a lot of this movie I do actually like, but I will give it just the 8 almost, just because I just love the Batman and Catwoman so much stuff. Like, it's just like a romance I really like, and it hits home, but like the 2 points down would be the stuff, like, it is a little cheesy at time with the Penguin and like his stuff, and it does break a lot of the rules. Like, it could never to me be like a perfect 10 out of 10 Batman film because like it is a lot of deviations from there, but yeah, so, okay, no, yeah, I think we're on the same wavelength. And that's what I was going to ask, though, because it's funny, with Batman, the first one, I gave that 8.5, and I think that's a higher rating, but for some reason, I almost still like this one more. What would you rank Batman? Like, do you like this more than, like, the first Batman, right, of Tim Burton's?
I really, really like the first one a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'd want to rank that one higher than this one.
That's what I mean, because I feel like I almost like Returns more, but it feels like the first one is a bit better as far as a little, not realistic, but it's not like you don't have like penguins with rockets running around.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff in this movie that's really good, but then there's the kind of like the eye rolling, like, you know.
No, so. I definitely, I feel like I'd rate the first one more, but if I was presented to see the first one or Returns, I'd probably go with Returns for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, I kind of have an agreement. So I have, 5 fun facts. And these I do every podcast, as little things. Warner Brothers had to continuously submit new Catwoman posters for various cities as many of the bus stop ads were being stolen. It got so bad that police officers had to patrol bus stops in order to catch predators before they could break the plexiglass containers. Today, large-scale Catwoman bus ads are worth a great deal of money. And hang on, I just looked it up, and my stupid internet closed on me. But I have it, because I looked at it earlier. I'm like, how much would that go for? Because like, I kind of want it as like just an heirloom or one day if I'm hopefully rich. But like, look it up. It's on eBay. It's just Catwoman bus ads. I'll show Taylor, but this is it right here. That goes for $500 on eBay.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're so rare. And like, it's a cool it's a really cool poster. I don't know if it's $500 worth, but maybe it's just because they are so rare. But now, because of this, like, as far as me, I do collect a few things, but like this has become a thing on my top list that one day I'm gonna have this $500 poster. But yeah, so that's kind of funny that like, and that's funny in this day, like back then when it was just kind of like, that's all you could get was these posters and people were stealing them. Like, yeah. Demi Moore and Nicole Kidman were both offered the role of Catwoman and turned it down.
Turn it down?
Yeah. Do you know who Demi Moore is?
I
feel like you would, but you know who Nicole Kidman is, right?
Yeah,
how do you think that would have gone?
I don't know. I think I like her as her.
You like her as her?
Like what? I can remember her character in the other.
Chase
Batman.
Meridian.
Yeah, she is okay as a Chase Meridian, not as a Catwoman.
Yeah. No, I think I'd agree. In an earlier script, Marlon Wayne was set to play Robin. Did you ever know this?
Play Robin in Batman Returns?
Yeah, in Batman Returns.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, at one point the studio was kind of forcing Tim Burton to put in Robin, and the way they were going to do it is they're going to have Robin as like this young homeless kid that Batman takes in and whatnot. So they originally had that in the script, and they took him in, and it was one of these things where it kind of started off there, and then at the end he would maybe become Robin, like not fully Robin. And so what they did is they had him in the script, and apparently they got him to do costume things, everything like that. Like they set it all up, and then they took it out of the script. So Marlon Wayne still gets paid today residuals for all this Batman stuff. So anytime people were buying Batman Returns or merchandise, stuff like that, he gets money from it because he signed this contract, and it was like literally like so close to him being actually Robin. But do you think, and I think I talked about this with Liam, do you think that was a good thing? Because my whole thing was like, I feel like this movie would have been really crammed if you added Robin into this, like another subplot of like if it was the exact same movie and then Robin.
I think like they could have. I think that would have been not too cramped, because I mean they gave Danny DeVito time for Penguin, they gave Michelle Pfeiffer time for Penguin, and then all the time really for Batman. We didn't need to see much more development from Batman because we've already seen Michael Keaton portrayed in the first one. So I mean, and if they wouldn't even have to show much development with this, just to show this guy and like Joseph Gordon-Levitt kind of in the we knew he was Robin, and then at the end you get that reassurance that he is Robin.
I didn't know he was Robin. See?
Well, you didn't know?
No, I had too much hype. I just thought he was some cop.
if they played it like that in Batman Returns, I think it would have been perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, that was what was original. How do you think Marlon Wayne would have been?
I don't know. I mean, I'm used to just, I can't remember his name, but I'm used to that Robin.
Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, I'm used to him.
Yeah.
So to go back to that day and age where Batman Returns is out and to see a Robin playing like and him playing as Robin in that kind of dark scenario, I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, there's part of me that did really want to see what he would have done with Robin Timber and like the suit and everything. Like it would have been interesting. And then here's my last suit. There was talk of having Jack Nicholson return as the Joker, even though he appeared to be dead at the end of Batman. All this was thrown out once Tim Burton agreed to return as director because he didn't want to make a direct sequel for whatever reasons. The only references to that first film are through Vicky Vale, about like he talks to her about the romance and the whole he let Vicky in the thing. So on the documentary I watched it, he said the same thing, like he didn't want to make it a direct sequel, which it's not, but like it's one of these things like it's with Joker being dead, like I don't know how you could make a direct sequel, you know, like to me it feels like a sequel, but it doesn't feel like, I don't know, like it feels like he set out what he wanted to do, like it's a good thing of like a different story. I guess the only thing that stands out is Vicky Vale, but they kind of explain that to me in a way. It's not even, it'd be if they even just ignored Vicky Vale completely. To me, they kind of be like, oh, that's weird. But I like that what they did was the couple throwaway lines to explain why she was there. Like, they didn't get along, or because he was too, like, truthful with her or whatnot, or she couldn't really get past his darkness. So, like, I like that. And then the last one was a couple things about to do with the Penguin. Dustin Hoffman was Warner Brothers' first consideration to play the Penguin. Do you know who that is? Yeah, so he was the first choice to play the Penguin. He did not do it. I'm trying to think, when was Hook? Let me quickly look it up, because I feel like he had just done Hook, because this came out in 1992, and maybe I'm wondering if that's why he was like, or maybe he was just like, I'm not going to play a fucking penguin, but that was 1991, so he just played Hook, so maybe it was like, I just played a villain or whatnot, but, okay, so then, Marlon Brando, do you know him? He's the Don in The Godfather. He's like, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Okay. That guy. Yeah. He's not really in your wheelhouse, but he was a big actor. I can see why he didn't do it. I think this would have been terrible. They talked to John Candy.
I don't know him.
Planes, Trains, Automobiles, Uncle Buck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How would that have been for you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see him as a penguin.
No.
I'm used to Danny DeVito now, so it's a lot harder to think like that. If it's before the movie comes out and you're thinking about it, it's probably a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't. I don't know.
I feel like he just and obviously makeup would have done that, but I feel like he just comes off almost too good. You know, like too lighthearted. Do you know who Bob Hoskins is? He's the guy that played Mario. In the Mario movie? Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I never saw that. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, don't. Well, one day you're gonna have to watch it. And then the last one, are you a Back to the Future fan? It was Christopher Lloyd, so the Doc.
Really?
Yeah, that was the one of the people they talked to playing Penguin, which I kind of could have seen. Because he's kind of like a wacky type of guy and whatnot. So.
I could. No, that's one I could see. That would be interesting.
Yeah. So. That was my fun facts. I always do it at the end because it's fun to do. Like, you can read these online and whatnot, but if you haven't and you just want to hear them here, they're kind of fun just to be like, oh, that could have been interesting, or that would have been terrible, you know, things like that. But where can they find us on Facebook, Taylor? This is the first time this has happened on the Batman Retrospective.
Really?
Usually I just go like GeekVerse Facebook, like I just plug it really quickly.
Oh, well. Hashtag transition. The loyal fans of GeekVerse podcast can find us on the internet. if you go on the Google and you type in GeekVerse Podcast, you'll find all of our links there. Also,
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that good jazz.
But in particular, I want you to go and sign into your Facebook account. In the search bar, type in GeekVerse Space Podcast, okay? We're at like 49 likes right now, and I need to get more likes on this page because we need to be known like across the world. So go on that page. It has every little bit of content you could ever dream of for geek stuff. So check it out. It's great.
And he secretly just wants to beat me because I am at 98 followers as of today on Twitter.
You're
two away. I'm 2 away. So, which is funny. I think we recorded Batman Returns. I was 91. So that was in the past. I did not lose 7 followers, but like, yeah, same thing on Twitter. Find us there. It's constant like geek news, geek updates on our show. Go to SoundCloud for if you're using a laptop, you're an Android user, that's great. Especially SoundCloud's great. And first of all, on iTunes, subscribe. So any episode like this or any other specials, we got Dynamic Duo going on. We got Rant, Rave, Repeat. We got the actual GeekVerse, our flagship show, and any other specials we might be doing that just pop up, boom, on your phone. And then if you go to SoundCloud, it's nicely individual, a lot of playlists. If you want to listen to this, all our Star Wars stuff, boom, in one spot. You want to listen to game reviews, boom. You want to listen to specials like Halloween and Christmas, which is kind of weird in this time, but oh well, boom, it's right there. And especially if this could be your first episode listening to us, because Batman, the same as Star Wars, we got a lot of new listeners then, maybe we got new listeners now. There is an actual playlist from the beginning to end of our, like, it's the first, like, even though it says we only have 17 episodes, the specials happen in between, so you can kind of, but the geek episodes that are like news or like ones where we're doing kind of themes or talks or the bread and butter, like it's from 1 to whatever we're at now. So it's one of these things of like, oh, I don't know where to start. There's a playlist right there for you, and that's SoundCloud goodness. So yes, thank you very much for listening, and then we'll see you soon. And I guess same bat time, same bat channel, same bat day, every Tuesday for the Batman Retrospective.
Have a dark night or day.
Oh my god.